Aisyah nak pesan ya, video yang Aisyah attach dalam channel ni hanya sebagai berfungsi sebagai edukasi saja. Bahan-bahan yang Aisyah attach dalam ni, Aisyah minta halal daripada pemilik video ni. Kalau korang nampak video ni, minta halal ya. Bukan apa, sebagai proses untuk mengedukasikan orang ramai di luar sana tentang isu V ini. Mungkin orang lain tak kenal, tak tahu apa sebenarnya sejarah ataupun apa sebenarnya fakta di sebalik V itu sendiri. Jadi Aisyah buat video ni untuk memberi kesedaran kepada orang ramai di luar sana melalui channel Aisyah. Minta halal video yang Aisyah attach dalam channel ni. Semoga saja video ni yang Aisyah buat memberi didikan kepada hati kita supaya berwaspada tentang apa saja yang mereka perkenalkan kepada kita, kepada anak-anak kita, kepada keluarga kita. Jadi kita cakna dengan apa yang diperkongsikan oleh pihak mereka kepada kita selepas ni. Semoga video ini bermanfaat.
Honor and privilege to have Dr. Peter McCullough from Texas in the United States of America with us today. Thank you. He is an internist, cardiologist, epidemiologist holding degrees from Baylor University, University of Texas Southwestern Medical School, University of Michigan, and Southwestern Methodist University. He manages common infectious diseases as well as the cardiovascular complications of both the viral infection and the injuries developing after the COVID-19 injections in Dallas, Texas, USA. Dr. Peter McCullough has broadly published on a range of topics in medicine with over 1,000 publications and 685 citations in the National Library of Medicine. Dr. McCullough testified multiple times in the U.S. Senate and many state houses on aspects of the pandemic response. Dr. McCullough has had years of dedicated academic and clinical efforts in combating the SARS-CoV-2 virus, and in doing so has reviewed thousands of reports, participated in scientific congresses, group discussions, press releases, and has been considered among the world's experts on COVID-19. Thank you.
Thank you for that introduction, and thanks for all the warm greetings today. Thanks to Ms. Anderson, members of Parliament, and ladies and gentlemen. As introduced, I'm Dr. Peter McCullough. I'm a practicing internist, a cardiologist, and epidemiologist, and I've been completely dedicated since the onset of the pandemic to doing everything I can to help each and every patient. These are my observations, and this is my analysis. There have been two waves of injury to the world. The first has been the SARS-CoV-2 infection, which preyed upon the frail and the elderly. And then the second wave of injury now has been the COVID-19 vaccines. The role of the WHO appears to be adverse in both of these. The role of the WHO appears to be operating within a biopharmaceutical complex, a syndicate, a complicated syndicate that has formed over time. It includes the WHO, the United Nations, the World Economic Forum, the Gates Foundation, Rockefeller Foundation, the Wellcome Trust, Gavi, CEPI, the Coalition for Epidemic Preparedness and Innovation that Gates Foundation and the WEF formed largely. The Department of State in the United States, the National Institutes of Health, the CDC, the FDA, the MHRA in the UK, the TGA in Australia, SAFRA in South Africa, the EMA here in Europe. This grouping of non-governmental organizations with governmental public health agencies is operating as a unit. They're carefully coordinated, and the impact has been adverse. At the outset of the pandemic, there was an investigation by the WHO on the origins of SARS-CoV-2. That's when the beginning of the cover-up began. Rear Admiral Brett Giroir in the United States nominated 3 independent scientists to go to Wuhan and figure out what was going on. We knew at that time, and this has all come out in congressional hearings, that Anthony Fauci, Francis Collins, Jeremy Farrar, who was at the Wellcome Trust, who's now the chief scientist at the WHO, Christian Anderson at Scripps, Edwin Holmes in Sydney, Peter Daszak at the EcoHealth Alliance. They all conspired in January of 2020 to cover up what they knew, that the virus was engineered in a joint U.S.-Chinese collaboration in the lab in Wuhan, China. And they deceived the world with 12 subsequent fraudulent papers in the peer-reviewed literature. These were quarterbacked by Jeremy Farrar, who is the chief scientist at the WHO. This is all in the series of reports in the House Select Committee in the United States by the U.S. Congress, led by Representative Brad Wenstrup. The WHO has played an adverse role from the very beginning, deceiving the world on the origins of SARS-CoV-2. Doctors like us in clinical practice got behind on this because our governments and agencies like the WHO weren't honest with us. And instead of helping us, or at least getting out of the way in terms of treating patients and saving lives, they got in the way and they impeded our ability to treat patients. They effectively created an entire environment of therapeutic nihilism. There are only two things that prevented hospitalization and death. One was early treatment early on, and then the second was to acquire natural immunity with the first episode of the infection. Nothing else worked. There were only two bad outcomes, hospitalization and death. To this day, the WHO does not support, embrace, or promulgate early treatment protocols for patients with acute COVID-19. That should tell you something. That should be a wake-up call. We're going on 3 years of this. 3 years of this. And still nothing to reduce human suffering from the WHO. Nothing. In fact, efforts that enhance human suffering. Because the first wave was the illness. And I've testified in the U.S. Senate multiple times, the majority of hospitalizations and deaths were completely avoidable in the highest risk patients with early interventions, starting with virucidal nasal sprays and gargles, and then intravenous and oral drugs administered at home to get people through the illness. Now enter the vaccines. Since 2021, the vaccines have ravaged the population in the world. Worldwide, 2/3 of people took a vaccine. In the United States, COVID community state study shows 75% of Americans took a vaccine. Thankfully, 25% didn't. I was the only public health and public figure in the United States in writing to question the vaccines before they came out. And I did it as loudly as I could. The COVID-19 vaccines in the United States, 94% of Americans took a messenger RNA vaccine. It is the genetic code for the potentially lethal spike protein part of the virus. It was the worst idea ever to install the genetic code by injection and allow unbridled production of a potentially lethal protein in the human body for an uncontrolled duration of time. Everything we've learned about the vaccine since they've come out is horrifying. There's not a single study showing that the messenger RNA is broken down because it's pseudo-uridinated. It's made synthetically. It cannot be broken down. There's not a study showing it leaves the body. We now have papers by Castriuta who demonstrates the messenger RNA circulating for a month. That's as long as they've looked. We have the spike protein, the lethal protein from the vaccines, found in the human body after vaccination, circulating at least for 6 months, if not longer. And if people take an injection in another 6 months, there's another installation in more circulating, potentially lethal protein. The spike protein is proven in 3,400 peer-reviewed manuscripts to cause 4 major domains of disease. One is cardiovascular disease, heart inflammation or myocarditis. Every regulatory agency agrees the vaccines cause myocarditis. I'm a cardiologist. Before COVID, for years, we've had guidelines in cardiology. When there is myocarditis, whether it's symptomatic or not, people cannot exert themselves in athletics. It will cause a cardiac arrest. And yet across Europe and across the United States, sports leagues were injecting young people who had no medical necessity, no clinical indication with these vaccines, and we have seen a montage of cardiac arrests in young individuals. I'm telling you as an expert cardiologist, these cardiac arrests are due to the COVID-19 vaccine until proven otherwise. They are. Other cardiovascular diseases caused by the vaccine proven. Acceleration of atherosclerotic cardiovascular disease and heart attacks or cardiovascular arrest. Posterior orthostatic tachycardia syndrome or POTS, or people passing out due to low blood pressure. You have seen montages of people in the media, one after another, passing out like you've never seen before. It is the vaccine until proven otherwise. Aortic dissection, atrial fibrillation, other arrhythmias. Cardiac arrest in the absence of myocarditis has been described with the COVID-19 vaccines. The cardiovascular domain of damage in the human body from the vaccine is substantial, more than anything we've ever seen with cholesterol, high blood pressure, or diabetes. The second major domain is neurologic disease, stroke, both ischemic and hemorrhagic, Guillain-Barré syndrome, ascending paralysis that can lead to death, which it has led to death with messenger RNA vaccines, agreed to by all of our regulatory agencies, small fiber neuropathy, numbness and tingling, ringing in the ears, headaches. These are common. Third major domain, blood clots. Blood clots like we've never seen before. The spike protein is the most thrombogenic protein we've ever seen in human medicine. It's found in the blood clots. The spike protein causes blood clots. Blood clots larger and more resistant to blood thinners than we've ever experienced in human medicine. I have patients with blood clots now going on 2 years, and they are not dissolving with conventional blood thinners due to these vaccines. We can't get these out of the body. We can't get the messenger RNA or the spike protein out of the body, as is continually produced. Fourth and last domain, immunologic abnormalities. Vaccine-induced thrombotic thrombocytopenia and multisystem inflammatory disorder are early acute syndromes, well described, published. They have their own acronyms, all agreed to by the regulatory agencies. So all of you in the room and all of you listening online are asking, is it me? Is it my family member? Is it my loved one? Who is going to be the next person to drop after a vaccine? We've seen cardiac arrest now 2 years after these shots. 2 years. I'm the senior author on the largest autopsy study ever assembled of death after COVID-19 vaccination, worldwide. We searched the literature, 600 papers, all the clinical findings, re-reviewed them with contemporary knowledge, experts in pathology and clinical medicine. Our conclusion, 73.9% of the deaths after vaccination are due to the vaccine. They are due to the vaccine. When it's suspected myocarditis, in a second paper, of which I'm the senior author, it's 100% of the time. It's due to the vaccine. Not COVID, respiratory illness, the vaccine. We are seeing now a third false narrative. The first false narrative was that the virus is unassailable, we have to stay in lockdown and be fearful. The second false narrative is take a vaccine, it's safe and effective. The third false narrative now is it's not the vaccine causing these problems, it's COVID. It's COVID that we saw back in 2020 causing all these problems in 2023. Don't fall for the false narrative. The medical literature at this point in time is compelling. The Bradford-Hill criteria for causality have been fulfilled. The vaccines are causing this enormous wave of illness. Now, could it be you and your family member? A few important papers to finish. One is by Schmeling and colleagues from Denmark, demonstrating that about 30% of people who have taken a vaccine have zero side effects, nothing, not even a sore arm, not even a sensation that anything happened with the injection. Those people appear to be fine forever, as if they didn't take a shot. And the data are the same in the United States in our VAERS system. The second batch group is about 70% of individuals, and they have some moderate side effects, some trouble, but they don't seem to really have serious events. And then there's that small third batch group, 4.2% in the Schmeling data. It's through the roof. Myocarditis, cardiac arrest, blood clots, hemorrhagic stroke, disabilities, sudden death at home in bed. And the data are the same in the United States. 4.2% of people in Europe right now are in trouble because they were unlucky enough to get a high-risk batch. In the United States, our CDC vSafe data, which is self-reported data, 10 million Americans, the number is 7.7% got so sick with the shot they had to go to the hospital and be treated or be hospitalized. A Zogby survey done about a year ago, a big representative sample in the United States, found 15% of those who took a vaccine have some medical problem that they're dealing with right now. So again, 4.2%, 7.7%, 15%. That's the penumbra. That is the Venn diagram that you're all going to be involved in the calculus. What's the path forward? The path forward is clearly for no one to take another shot. No one. Now, the World Council for Health, which is a multinational, evidence-based physician and healthcare provider organization, on June 11th, 2022, issued a pharmacovigilance report looking at 39 safety databases, including the WHO VisiSafe and the EMA databases and the US databases. And their conclusion was to remove all the COVID-19 vaccines off the market for excess risk of death. Excess risk of death. Okay? On the floor of the U.S. Senate, December 7th of 2022, I co-moderated a session, and our expert panel, by assent in the U.S. Senate, concluded all the COVID-19 vaccines should be removed from the market, all of them. No new boosters. And then in March 23rd of 2023, the Association of American Physicians and Surgeons, a factual, fact-based, evidence-based, consensus-driven organization, just like the two others, also concluded to remove the vaccines from the market. So I submit to you the COVID-19 vaccines and all of their progeny and future boosters are not safe for human use. I implore you, as a governing body, the European Medicine Agency, to apply all pressure and due urgency to remove the COVID-19 vaccines from market. In the United States, it's going jurisdiction by jurisdiction, probably state by state will remove them off the market if the federal government doesn't do so. It's going to happen. It's going to happen all over the world. The WHO is standing behind these vaccines. They are far more of a problem than a help to the European Union. And it's my belief that the European Union, the United States, and all major stakeholders should actually completely pull out of the WHO and leave the WHO to its own endeavors, not to have any jurisprudence, any dominion over what we do in healthcare. WHO will never have dominion over what I do as a practitioner with patients in my practice. I'm Dr. Peter McCullough. Thank you so much for having me.
It's important to understand what the 5G is doing and what they say it's doing. We're told on the IEEE beamforming document that this technology cooked your eyes like eggs in World War II.
We live in a world now where everything has to be black and white. You're for us or you're against us. You're good or you're bad. You're black or you're white. 5G is a weapon. It's used by the military. They drive up in these technology when they want to scatter a cloud, and they put out these frequencies in a much higher power than 5G will be initially with us, but the same frequency. And people scatter because they get the feeling their skin is on fire. Because the human body, including the skin, is an antenna. It interacts with frequencies, and it receives and transmits information. At the cutting edge of understanding of DNA, scientists know that DNA is a receiver-transmitter of information. And we are electromagnetic, electrical organisms, transmitters and receivers of information. When our electromagnetic fields are in balance and harmony, we have health. We have psychological health, and we have physical health. The reason that this technological society is causing so much psychological and quote, physical disease is because these frequencies, technologically driven, we live in this Wi-Fi world now and all the phone masts and all the rest of it, these technologically generated frequencies are scrambling the balance of the human electromagnetic electrical communication systems. And if you scramble them, you create a state of disharmony, dis-ease, which plays through to physical and mental, emotional, psychological dis-ease.
It is basically biological chip that it is in the tablet, and once you take the tablet and dissolves into your stomach, sends a signal that you took the tablet. So imagine the applications of that, compliance. The insurance companies to know that the medicines that patients should take, they do take them. It is fascinating what happens in this field.
In an old video from 1995, a theology professor named Pierre Gilbert warned of mandatory vaccines that would turn recipients into zombies. He speaks in French, so I will translate. In the biological destruction, there are the organized tempests on the magnetic fields. What will follow is the contamination of the bloodstreams of mankind, creating intentional infections. This will be enforced via laws that will make vaccination mandatory. And these vaccines will make possible to control people. The vaccines will have liquid crystals that will become hosted in the brain cells, which will become micro-receivers of electromagnetic fields, where waves of very low frequencies will be sent. And through these low-frequency waves, people will be unable to think. You'll be turned into a zombie. Don't think of this as a hypothesis. This has been done. Think of Rwanda. There isn't much information I could find about Pierre Gilbert, but what he said 26 years ago certainly rings true today. In 2016, The Guardian published Genetically Engineered Magnetoprotein Remotely Controls Brain and Behavior. Here we can see zebrafish larvae that have been injected with magneto being manipulated with magnetic fields. In March of 2020, Defense One published an article on how hydrogel biosensors are ready to be injected into people's bodies, funded by DARPA and Bill Gates. If you search magnetic nanoparticles, you will find several articles and videos explaining the so-called benefits of this invasive technology that can control parts of the human body via external frequencies. Livestock needs to be branded and tracked. And the enslavement of humanity is voluntary, which is why the so-called vaccines are voluntary. And sadly, there seems to be millions of people eagerly lining up to be state property.
And Professor Hockerts explained this to me, Stefan did. They tried mRNA mainly for cancer, fighting cancer, we call that treatment. They failed. And it's very simple to understand in layman terms. The mRNA is stable in the lab. It is stable. It is disintegrating immediately. It cannot even travel the distance from the strange into the skin. It falls apart. So the evil people, the rogues, decided to stabilize it, to package it. It's like Coca-Cola. Sorry?
Yes.
Yeah, if you allow me to finish. The mRNA is the brown sauce inside, that's the Coca-Cola liquid. And the packaging has been done with nanolipids. Nanolipids are toxins. They are artificial. They are not meant for animal and human use. You can buy them online at BASF, at DuPont, at the chemical companies for technical research in laboratory. It's not a restricted substance or no substance, nano tech. You can buy it and you trade it. They use nanolipids. Every shot, Professor Bhakti told me that, and Hockerts confirmed, injected into my body about 20 billion nanolipids. Now, those are electrically charged positive. It's an artificial thing. The nanolipid was also needed to transport the messenger into the cell, to tell the cell, now you produce out of control, no limitation, spikes. Every so-called vaccine that has, let's call it, been tested, has a start, a starting point of interaction or effectiveness in the body, and it has an end point. It must have an end point where it stops. These injections were designed not to have an end point regarding the out-of-control spike toxic spike production. So the nanolipids are charged positively. They charge them electrically on purpose. Positively, Dr. Young can confirm the human cells are negatively charged. What happens is the attraction. The nanolipid is like a missile, a bunker buster, goes into the cell with the aim to destroy and obliterate the mitochondria. In all tests of mine, my mother is terrible. It's even worse. The nanolipids had the mission mitochondria. The problem with mitochondria is they do not grow back. Those factories, once they are destroyed, will not grow back. Cells do. Mitochondria destroyed don't come back. They don't. Like the immune system, if it's obliterated, that is the Creator's work. This is our medicine, is our immune system, has on purpose been destroyed. Most of the injected people have that damage because the nanolipids are the packaging of both formulas, Pfizer and Moderna, which are the same formulas, the same bioweapon. The labeling was done in the military stockpiles. Moderna and Pfizer have not produced those formulas. The labeling was done to show to the public, to deep fake it, that there is a competition going on and that Moderna and, they're fake. That describes the loss of oxygen and oxidation we are experiencing with the injected. Most people deny it. Everybody I know has fatigues. Everybody I know, young or old, cannot go stairs up anymore without feeling like climbing 1,000 meters. It's the damage, the first physical damage which this injection has had to do. It's a primary effect. It's a weapon. If a weapon doesn't harm and kill, it's not a weapon. A bioweapon must harm and kill. It's a primary effect. It's been designed to harm and kill. It's not we don't talk about secondary effects. Then the spikes are out of control. They attack the organs. Most people have now an explosion of myocarditis, and Dr. Young can confirm this.
Nggak lihat pesawat lewat ada asap putih keluar. Saya asli teknisi pesawat. Pesawat lewat di bawah 10.000 meter tidak ada asap putih keluar dari mesin pesawat. lihat ada asap keluar dari pesawat itu senjata biologi. Biasa pakai bromium salt. Ini bikin simptom-simptom seperti influenza, mata pas hujan, mata perih, kuping ada bunyi di dalam, batuk, pilek, gangguan paru-paru, perut, anak demam berapa hari, nggak tahu kenapa. 100 negara lebih korban dari senjata itu.
Covered. But they're back in full swing. This is what they call the Orange Blossom Special. It's a stupid name, but we see it so often that we had to name it that. Today is April 25th, 2021, 7:30 in the evening. And just pay attention. If you've never seen these clips, you can see how much is coming out of this. Look at this. I mean, waterfall time, guys. Just look at that. Lockdown and where their muzzle and the whole thing 6 feet apart. What difference does it make when they're doing this to the air, guys? Up it like right before he reaches my camera. Sort of like, you know, before he gets right over me. You'll see it start sputtering out. Watch it. Wait a minute, hold on. Up this thing. Okay, done. You pooped on the sky. That's nice. Thank you. See if any more comes out of this. Oh, he turns it back on. There you go. You can't do that with a contrail, guys. Look at that. Taking a few extra squirts there. I caught you.
This is about a 260,000 excess deaths that we experience in this country. We'll be showing a graph coming from the Philippine Statistics Authority, and sa DOH, meron din po silang mga copies that have been submitted, datas, and we are shocked to find out that there were 262,000 deaths on 2021 alone. And after that, 2022, nagkaroon pa rin ng 67,000 deaths. And these are all unexplained deaths, no? And that's the reason why this committee is, I think, motu proprio, we will be investigating this issue.
Na orang semua untuk wake up. He's a good guy lah, you know, to be honest. Yes, benda tu memang wujud. Okay, ramai yang dah kena benda tu and ramai yang dah meninggal dunia. Your families ke siapa-siapa yang kena lepas tu dah meninggal ke apa ke, guys. I am very sorry for, you know, you kena get it out of your system. I did. I pergi cucuk and then I detox. After I detox, I'm healthy again. You tak payah cucuk pun sebenarnya. Ask people, talk to people. You kena get it out of your system before anything happens. Ramai yang dah meninggal. I am telling everyone right now yang tengah tengok video ni, yang dah kena cucuk, get it out of your system right now. Boleh. Aku punya dulu, it was a drink. Someone, they gave me this drink. I kena minum tu every day. It tastes like ass. It was so bad, but I okay sekarang. Eat well, exercise, do not get fat. You badan besar, you guys, you akan lagi banyak penyakit yang datang kat kau. I'm serious. Jangan kita muda and then kita dah tak ada. If you dah kena cucuk, you boleh keluarkan that thing out of you. Yes, you can.
So that's really very important. We have given it your best. And as I said, the issue now is, okay, we are where we are. We have traveled a lot. We have progressed a lot, but where are the bottlenecks? And how can we recalibrate and move? I think that's very important. As you know, when we started, the reason you have decided to have a pandemic agreement was because of the impact of the COVID-19. We say on the record more than 7 million people died, but actually that's underreporting. The estimates show that up to 20 million people died. And the whole world was taken hostage. And COVID has affected everybody. Everybody. I don't know if there was anyone who has not been affected by COVID in many ways. Not only losing loved ones, but economic problems, loss of jobs, you name it. So that's why you said, okay, this impact is because the world is unprepared. By the way, still is. And you said we have to do something. So the second message I have is we have to always remind ourselves that. Because we are human beings, when the pain is really less, we tend to forget and move on. But of course we should move on. But we should also remember the problem that happened and not really rest until the solution comes. So reminding ourselves of all the losses we had and to say never again is very important. So when we look for the challenges we have faced and finding solutions, I think that reminder will help. Then I see the Assembly actually as a platform to re-energize this process, to be honest. And let's use it as a platform to give us more energy, inspire us. So my wish is we will come out of the Assembly re-energized, inspired. We will try everything, believing that anything is possible, and make this happen. Because the world still needs a pandemic treaty, and the world needs to be prepared, because many of the challenges that caused the serious impact during COVID-19 still exist. Starting from equity, for instance, was the center of this negotiation. So, still exist. And we should really prepare the world. So, let's continue to try everything, and anything is possible. And as we always say, if there is a will, there is a way. So I'm still positive, to be honest, despite the outcome. That's what I am. That's what I believe. There could be hiccups. The issue is, what do we learn from it and move? This is not a failure. Even when I fail, by the way, many times, I try to learn what happened and then move on. Failure doesn't stop us, should not stop us. But this is not failure. You have really done a lot. You have progressed a lot. I don't call it failure.
Oke. Jadi tadi Abang sempat mengutip bahwasanya ada beberapa pasal dalam undang-undang ini yang menurut Abang berbahaya itu.
Sangat berbahaya.
Sangat berbahaya.
Sangat berbahaya.
Kalau boleh tahu apa itu, Bang?
Ya, ini Undang-Undang Omnibus Law nomor 17 tahun 2023 yang sudah ditandatangani oleh Bapak Presiden.
Oke.
Ada 3 pasal yang perlu dipahami oleh pemirsa sekalian. Yang pertama, pasal 4. Pasal 4 di situ di dalam ayat 2 dikatakan dalam keadaan kejadian luar biasa atau wabah maka merawat diri mandiri itu tidak diizinkan. Terus yang ayat berikutnya kita tidak boleh menolak manakala itu sudah menjadi program pelayanan kesehatan. Itu ayat 4. Jadi kita nggak boleh menolak. Sementara menolak ini adalah hak dasar daripada seorang manusia dan itu free will dari Tuhan. Kita boleh, makanya dibilang ada sunnah, ada wajib. Nah, ini adalah mereka mewajibkan kita. Kita tidak boleh memilih. Tetapi Tuhan memberikan kita free will. Sebagai contoh, babe dengan nyonya misalnya. Sudah berumah tangga. Sudah resmi. Kalau nyonya sedang tidak mau, tidak bisa dipaksa. Ya, itu aturan main. Itu adalah hak asasi. Kalau saya ditawarin babe minum, saya nggak mau, maka babe nggak boleh maksa saya masuk mulut. Tetapi ini tidak bisa, Pak. Rekan-rekan Muslim, saudara-saudara saya yang Muslim, apalagi ini mau masuk bulan puasa, dia punya iman bahwa dia harus berpuasa, maka tidak ada satu undang-undang pun yang boleh melarang.
Ya, betul.
Satu lagi, iman daripada saudara Muslim tidak boleh memakan daging babi, contohnya. Maka undang-undang ini, tidak ada satu undang-undang pun yang boleh memaksakan mereka.
Betul.
Nah, di sini apa saja yang mereka mau masukkan tanpa kita boleh tahu dan kita tidak boleh menolak.
Diwajibkan itu, Bang?
Tidak boleh menolak karena di dalam pasal 295 tadi pasal 4 295 apabila upaya kesehatan yang menjadi program pemerintah maka mereka bisa melakukan tanpa persetujuan.
Aduh. Nah, kalau pandemi kemarin kan kita boleh menolak masih ya?
Karena belum undang-undang.
Iya, karena belum undang-undang.
Masih PP.
Masih PP. Dan ini sebetulnya sudah berlaku ini, Bang?
Sudah. Karena dia masih tertunda-tunda karena kemarin masih ada judicial review oleh ID. Hanya sayang ID tidak tidak menyoroti hal yang paling mendasar yaitu hak asasi manusia, menolak. Gitu. Nah, di pasal 400 dikatakan bahwa tidak dilarang menghalang-halangi upaya kesehatan. Jadi kita kalau menolak itu termasuk kategori menghalang-halangi.
Waduh.
Dan pasal 446 sanksinya pidana denda 500 juta per
orang. Nah, itu kalau umpamanya rakyatnya udah miskin begini terus menolak, dendanya dari mana itu? Pidana penjara berarti?
Nah, sementara kemiskinan ini adalah by design.
Jadi ini yang mau kita lawan, itu bahayanya, guys. Oke, Bang. Oke, kita kembali ke masalah politik ini, Bang.
Silakan.
Iya,
ini masalah politik.
Iya.
Karena ini produk politik.
Ini kan berarti kan produknya DPR nih.
Ya, ini produk politik.
Iya, produk politik.
Karena untuk memuluskan rencana politik.
Untuk rencana politik global gitu ya.
Iya.
Ya, jadi makanya pentingnya
tidak bisa dilepas dari politik. Gitu.
Iya,
itulah yang mendorong saya kenapa saya mau maju, kenapa? Ternyata politik sampai rumah tangga diatur, iman diatur.
Nah, ini saya mau berarti gara-gara politik ini juga, maaf ini Bang, saya dapat bocoran. Sebetulnya Bang belum waktunya pensiun ini ya.
Sudah tanggal 1 Februari.
Oh, 1 Februari berarti. Oh iya. Berarti udah purnawirawan ini ya. Alhamdulillah. Nah, saya mau tanya nih, Bang. Ini kan produk politik nih. Nah, di Indonesia ini kita ketahui, Bang. Minta maaf sebelumnya, Abang kan non-muslim nih.
Iya.
Ya, Abang non-muslim. Bagaimana kira-kira, Bang, kalau menghadapi ini? Kan akan lawan framing itu, Abang. Ya, kalau saya pribadi nih, saya sebagai muslim, simpel kalau saya. Ya, saya kalau ditanya loh, kan muslim nggak boleh milih pemimpin yang non-muslim. Ya, memang benar. Permasalahannya ini juga bahaya buat Islam. Ya, WHO Pandemic Treaty ini juga bahaya buat Islam. undang-undang Omnibus Law ini juga bahaya buat Islam, mengganggu agama saya, dan belum ada orang di agama saya yang seberani abang. Itu kalau saya. Nah, kira-kira abang gimana tuh kalau ngadepin itu?
Ini adalah undang-undang yang merangkum semua keimanan orang. Artinya mendeskrip semua keimanan orang.
Apapun agamanya.
Apapun agamanya.
Siap.
Karena apa? Hak dasar daripada setiap manusia, apapun nama agamanya, dia boleh menolak. Saya concern kepada kata menolak. Tapi kalau ada orang yang mau menerima, itu adalah hak asasi juga. Jadi kita hanya memperjuangkan hak menolak. Nah, manakala misalnya ada yang mengatakan seperti tadi harus ini, ingat, kita negara Pancasila. Negara Pancasila bicara sila pertama ketuhanan yang Maha Esa. Kita sebenarnya berasal dari satu Tuhan yang sama. Tidak ada yang bisa pungkiri itu. Cara bernafas kita, cara pendengaran kita, berarti kita berasal dari satu produk ilahi. Dan di antara kita, jangan mau dipecah-pecahkan oleh pemahaman yang sebenarnya bermain dalam membelah rasa. Di dalam kehidupan kita, yang membuat kita selalu membedakan orang adalah kita diberi cover yang berbeda atau seragam yang berbeda, sehingga kita merasa bahwa kalau seragamnya tidak sama, maka dia bukan teman saya. Kalau pemahamannya berbeda, maka dia bukan teman saya. Come on, bangkit. Mari kita wake up. Karena apa? Ini adalah cara mereka untuk membuat bangsa kita tidak pernah bangkit.
Ya, saya jadi ingat kalimatnya kalau nggak salah Pak Tom Lembong. Ya, ini kalimat keren itu Bang, dia sampaikan. Walaupun berbeda agama, tapi kalau sama-sama punya iman, itu lebih nyambung daripada agamanya sama tapi tidak beriman. Ya, kadang-kadang kan orang ada yang mencari, ya Bang tahu sendirilah, kekuasaan yang pragmatis kalau saya mengatakan. Jadi saya sih sepakat-sepakat aja Bang. Nah, ini pertanyaan berikutnya. Kalau ada relawan, ya ini kan, ini mudah-mudahan ini channel gue nih, yang wilayah DKI Jakarta nih ya. Kalau ada relawan, nanti kira-kira sudah ada posko relawannya Bang?
Posko relawan sudah ada di Korwil-Korwil.
Di Korwil-Korwil, ya, di Jakarta Timur.
Timur, Selatan, Barat, Utara, Pusat dan Pulau Seribu.
Pulau Seribu
sudah ada koordinatornya. Jadi silakan bergabung dengan di sana, ataupun bisa bergabung. Buat saya apa? Siapa saja yang mau berjuang, karena konteksnya apa? Mereka relawan karena sadar bahwa keselamatan jiwa keluarga mereka akan terancam dengan segala macam regulasi yang akan semakin menindas. Yang paling baru yang kita dengar adalah PPN dinaikkan.
Ya itu
luar biasa.
Itu,
karena
itu.
Salah seorang mengatakan bahwa rakyat sudah memilih. Memilih untuk melanjutkan.
Itu ngeselin itu.
Melanjutkan apa? Sustainable. Apa yang mau dilanjutkan? Pelaksanaan total kontrol. Pelaksanaan sesuatu yang membuat rakyat tidak bisa berkutik.
Nah, itu.
Pekerjaan sulit, pendapatan tidak ada. Tetapi kewajiban-kewajiban melambung tinggi. Apa namanya? Kalau tidak kita disuruh gantung diri. Ibaratnya apa? Kita ditaruh batu, leher kita digantung di atas pohon, kemudian tadinya di bawah, digantung batu, otomatis yang berat, otomatis dia akan naik sampai di atas. Apa yang terjadi pada kita?
Mati.